story. So tell me the story of one customer and how they find you and how they engage with you through the entire process.
Would you like to take that on? Or maybe we could each tell a story. But you tell first.
You go first.
You want me to go first? Okay. Let me think. Who do I want to talk about?
Or you can make up a person, like
Okay.
ideally.
Okay.
How would a person engage?
Okay. So one woman who came to visit is a graduate student from Oakland, and she was doing her master's thesis on ecosystem restoration. So she contacted John Liu, who's been staying at Hotlum, to interview him, and he invited her to come up and visit. And so it turns out this woman has worked for an organization that planted trees in the Oakland area. She worked there for 5 years, so we knew that before she came. So the road that the Forest Service road that accesses our land, it had they just masticated it, which basically means kind of grinding it up. If you just picture like a big massive lawnmower that just kind of takes out 50 feet or so of on either side of the road to try and make it so or it's more like maybe 50 yards, whatever it is, to help with fire mitigation and make it more accessible for firefighting. So there were a lot of young trees that were right there in that area, and they were small enough. I mean, they were like a foot tall, and so we were concerned about them being munched up with the bushes. And so we rescued a whole bunch of them, Jonathan and I, before this woman got there, and then and then she helped us plant them, which was really fun. Like just talking about how to. So she would teach us the best way to plant them. We kind of came up with generally the locations that we wanted the trees to be, but then she guided us in that, and then she interviewed John, and she asked a lot of really great questions, and she stayed for a couple of days. We had amazing conversations around the campfire, and she's got lots of friends that she would like to bring up to Hotlum in the future.
And so we've attended conferences either in person, prior to this most recent pandemic, or virtually. And even after a virtual conference, people will say, hey, I'm passing through and I really want to come visit you at Hotlum. And so they will, reach out to me via email or text, or they'll contact me through the Ecosystem Restoration Camp website, and we'll organize a way for them to come and visit. And oftentimes they're already involved in some similar activity because we met them at a conference. So they're a wilderness guide, or they're a Dharma teacher that does eco-Dharma, or they have launched, deep urban permaculture projects, and very, very interested in more rural projects. And so they're like-minded spirits, and they come prepared to camp, and we can do some big social distancing on 120 acres, and we cook outside, and we just have a really deep conversation. It's kind of like a low-key tour and a exploration into what is an emergent, eco-regeneration camp. What kind of, ideas do they have and offerings? We were initially going to have a 2020 vision camp, and that was going to be a group effort to envision what Hotlum was going to become in the near future. And we were working with Mark Lakeman from Portland, Oregon, to come down and kind of facilitate us through a process. That didn't happen, but we're doing it, one or two people at a time now. People have come down from Washington State. People have come up from the Bay Area. People have come, from Colorado. People have come from, multiple people from up north, Oregon, Washington, Idaho. So yeah, it's been very slow And we kind of like that because we get to have a lot of deep connection. And so people are finding us at conferences. And we're going to be on an online conference this weekend for Soil Not Oil. So that's pretty cool. It's just about networking. And I think Lauren's learned that through her networking group of BNI, that those face-to-face interactions or those now virtual interactions, you build an affinity and then people are interested in what you do.
Yeah.
So that's been a real common story. We've met people at other ecosystem restoration camps that have decided to come and help us for a weekend. And that's about kind of the level that we're doing it. Another way is that we actively reach out to organizations and talk to their board of directors. That would be another story we could tell.
I think you should share the story of the family that was here, that was there like a week and a half ago.
Oh, I just did tell that. Okay. We met at Eco Camp Coyote. And so then they wanted to come and have, an experience of a more rural camp.
They had an aide that came with them that was very enthusiastic about
sawing and
riding
the wagon down the road and building a campfire and lighting it. It was great.
Hold on. Yeah.
Okay. Some people, specifically invited because of their expertise. So, we've had some individuals come who were there to.
Yeah. I want to. We're nearing the end of time, and I wanted to get with the story, a little bit farther into the story. So maybe that hasn't happened with these particular people yet, but just like with this one example of this family that came, like, how would you imagine their continued participation to look like?
Yeah. So we had a conversation when she was there that a group of families might come up at some point with her organizing it to do a little mini family camp. And they would all be coming up from the Santa Cruz area, and they'd all have kids of the same age. And in this current time when a lot of kids are being homeschooled or having minimal schedules, families can organize around a trip. And so what we're imagining in the future is that we will have a kind of Santa Cruz family camp come up to Hotlum, and we'll have very specific projects, that are age appropriate.